everyone, welcome back. So today I have a video on Maybelline's new lipsticks that they released from their Colorsensational line. If you're familiar with the Colorsensational line, they have several different categories like buffs, plums, reds, nudes, so they have vivids, so they have several different categories, and they came out with a new category, and that is called the Creamy Matte or the Matte Cream lipstick. I'm missing one shade at my Target, which is where I found them. I believe they are $5.49 each, and you can typically find them the best priced I found at Target or at your grocery store. These things were super hard to find for me. They didn't even have a display. They kind of just had them laid out at the top, but I had been searching and going back for them a lot. I know they will be permanent though, so if you can't find them yet, don't worry about it. You'll be able to find them because they are going to be part of the permanent line. Now, there have been a ton of videos out because it took me so long to find these, so I know there are a lot of other swatch videos out and a lot of other videos talking about the product, so I wanted to take a different angle on it. So I found some of my MAC lipsticks that I could compare them to. Now these aren't dupes, but they are just comparison swatches so that you can get an idea of if you have a MAC shade that's similar, or if you have been wanting that MAC shade and you want to pick up MAC shade. If you've been wanting that MAC shade and you wanted to pick up something similar that was more inexpensive for a drugstore price, you could pick up the new Maybelline lipsticks. So I am going to swatch them all on my lips for you, go through the colors, and then show the comparisons to the MAC lipsticks. So I'm going to start out with the packaging. It's in this like frosted, I would say mauve-y, dusty purple cap to it, and they all kind of have different caps. The Maybelline Colorsensational Vivid line has like orange caps. I think the plums have like a glossy plum cap. So the cap to this is like a mauve-y, dusty plum color. So this first shade is called Nude Embrace. This is a very browny nude shade. Honestly, I didn't have anything like this in my collection to even compare it to, so I don't have a comparison swatch for this particular shade. I don't typically go for a brown nude, but this is a really beautiful shade. These feel extremely comfortable and creamy. I am wearing one right now on the lips, and it feels very, very comfortable, lasts a good while on the lips, and they have like a lot of pigmentation. They don't skip at all, they don't feel dry on, so a really nice formula. I wouldn't say that they're completely matte, but they do have like a little bit of a give to them. I wouldn't call them a satin, but they're not so matte where they draw attention to the lines. That's what you kind of get sometimes with a matte nude shade. But this is the first one in Nude Embrace. This next shade is called Daringly Nude, and I believe this has a little bit more of a pink to it. So there is Daringly Nude. It has a little bit more of a rosy pink tone, not as brown as the first one. I wanted to show the Daringly Nude compared to MAC's Kinda Sexy. Definitely a little bit more of a peachy, deeper tone. As you can see, this has a little bit more pink rose tone to it. But those are the two just in comparison, if you were wondering. I think you could get the same look. Now this is a matte lipstick as well, which is what I try to do for most of these comparison. There are a few that aren't matte shades from MAC that I'm comparing to, but for the most part I tried to stick with matte shades so that you could really get a good comparison of color. These two are very similar, obviously not dupes. I'm just showing you comparison swatches, so I know a lot of people get kind of upset like those aren't close at all, but I know some of them are closer than others. This is a beautiful color, and I really do like the way this one looks on the lips. If you've been wanting MAC's Kinda Sexy, I think that the Daringly Nude one is a great option. The next shade is called Touch of Spice, and this is a really pretty, I would say like a deepened rose shade. Very wearable, beautiful rose shade. I'm comparing this Touch of Spice to MAC's Faux. Now these two are not that similar, but it was the closest thing I had. This has a lot more pink to it, and obviously not as like rose or deeper tone, but I just did want to show like a comparison of these two because it was the only color that I had sort of similar when I was looking through my collection. On screen it looks way different. In person it looks a little bit more not similar, but it doesn't look as totally off as it does when I'm looking at that in the viewfinder. And I really do like that deeper neutral spice rose shade for the fall. This next shade is called Ravishing Rose, and this is what I'm wearing on my lips right now. I love this shade. I love this color. It has enough of that like blue tone to it. It's just like, this is probably one of my favorites from the collection. I have 3 that I wanted to compare it to. The first one I'm going to start out with is the only matte shade that I had to kind of compare. And as I swatch this, you can see the difference. This is very warm in comparison, but this is MAC's Please Me. So that is Please Me. As you can see, that brighter, a lot more blue tone. For something with a different finish, this is MAC's Speed Dial. This is just to show you the difference. As you can see, that is a little bit more similar, but still this is a lot more cool mauve this And the last one that I had to compare is Pink Nouveau. And Pink Nouveau is probably the most similar to this one. So as you can see, let me swatch them closer to each other. Pink Nouveau has a satin finish, so it's a little bit closer to a matte. So that's MAC's Pink Nouveau, and that is the Ravishing Rose. So as you can see, this one has a little bit more of a sheen because it is satin finish, but not a ton. So it's very comparable in color to the Ravishing Rose. This next shade is called Faint for Fuchsia. It is a beautiful fuchsia shade. I love this. This was a color that I thought I had a lot close to in my collection, but I have a lot in the Vivids. I feel like the Vivids fuchsia shades that they've released in the Maybelline Vivids line are pretty similar. The first one that I do have in MAC though to compare it to is Pink Pigeon, and this is another matte shade. This is MAC's Pink Pigeon right here, and this is the Maybelline one. So very, very comparable. This has a little bit more of like a blue tone to it, just a little bit. And the next one I have to compare is called Silly, and this is a lot lighter of a pink, but also matte. So that is Silly right there. So as you can see, these two are probably the most similar. But just in case you wanted to see, I thought I would show you. So that is Faint for Fuchsia from Maybelline. This next shade is called Mesmerizing Magenta. This reminds me a lot of the Vivid from Maybelline in Vivid Rose. So just a really, really beautiful, almost like reddish raspberry shade. I love this. So if you're looking for that shade in like a matte formula, definitely check this out. The only thing I had similar, I didn't have anything that was matte that was similar that I could find, but I did find an amplified from MAC, and this is Girl About Town. This has a little bit more of a, obviously it has a sheen to it, but it has a little bit more of like a blue duochrome to it. So that is the Mesmerizing Magenta, and that's MAC's Girl About Town. Very similar, just different finishes. This is a little bit deeper as well. This next shade is beautiful. It's called Craving Coral. It's like a bright, almost like orangey red shade. Very, very nice, deeper orange. It reminds me a lot of So Shod from MAC, and these two are very, very similar. So Shod is a matte formula, so that is why. So it's a little bit deeper, but that is the Craving Coral, and that is MAC's So Shod. Very, very similar. The last shade that I picked up because I wasn't able to find the red or like scarlet shade, and maybe there's another one called like Fire or something. I believe there are 10 shades and I'm missing 2. So I wasn't able to find 2 of the shades, but this one is called Divine Wine, and I'm so glad I picked this up because when I got home I thought I had something really, really similar to it, but it turns out I don't. So this is Divine Wine, and I'm going to show you the things that I swatched that to compare it to, but nothing is exact. So it's like a burnt burgundy color, like a burnt red. Oh, I love this shade. The first color I automatically thought to compare it to was MAC's Diva, and this is a matte. So I compared it to this, and although it's similar, Diva has a little bit more of a, I would say like a berry undertone to it, and this has more of a brown. They look very similar in comparison. So, I mean, similar enough that they would probably look the same, but this has a little bit more of a burnt quality to it, and this has more of a berry, if that makes sense. but very, very close. The other shades I want to compare it to are Dark Side. This is an amplified, and so it's a different finish, but that is Dark Side, and this definitely has a little bit more berry, as you can see the difference. That's more of like a burnt color in it. And the last one was this is from Marc Jacobs, and this is the color Cabernet. And I really quickly wanted to just show this because I thought they were going to be similar, but this shade is definitely has more berry in it. So not very similar. Diva is probably the closest to the Divine Wine. Enjoyed seeing all the swatches and comparisons, and if you picked up any shades, let me know which one is your favorite. I hope you guys found this video helpful, even though there are a ton of other videos showing swatches out there. I just thought I would do my take on it, and just in case you have my skin tone, hair color, anything, and you wanted to see how they looked on me, I thought it would be helpful to do a video anyways. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Mwah.